spending some buck. Right. So let's get in there straight away. First tip. Number one, if you are spending on PPC, so I actually put this on the TikTok channel. If you're spending on PPC, make sure you swap out the payment method for a credit card. Okay. So do not have it coming out of your disbursements. Make sure you can swap it out. You can go into your, this is the technical part I never get right. You go into like your business info, you change charge method, and you can put a credit card in there like Capital on Tap and Amex. Not only does it help increase cash flow, but it will also, you can claim all the extra benefits. I mean, if you're spending 5K a month, and that's, I'm not saying you are, and you know, hopefully the majority of people are doing this already. But if you're spending 5K a month and that's coming out of your disbursements, that's a big cash flow disruption.
Yeah, it sounds like a rookie tip, but it's not. Even me and Luke Dugan weren't doing it about a year ago. I mean, we spoke to you on the call, didn't we? I'm spending $2.5-3 grand a month PPC. Luke's spending a lot. I don't know how much. And yeah, we neither of us were doing it, so we were missing out on all them, you know, credit card benefits.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not only a massive disruption to your cash flow, because like I said, even $1,000 at this time of year, when you want to get your cash back, well, not cash back, you want to get your cash back in from your disbursements, and you want to recycle it, get it back out, and use that compounding effect as much as possible to turn it over as many times as you can during Q4. Even $1,000 makes a difference, guys. So make sure you go in, you take it out, or not take it out, or you put a charge method in. And ideally, as Hayden's already said, the best charge method to put in is like an Amex or a Capital on Tap or a card with benefits, you know, to be able to not only extend that, so it's not coming out of your disbursements, you're then getting a credit period that you can pay it on. So you're pushing the payment date. And then if you can get some sort of cash back or points value because of it, you know, I think when I told Luke that, I think he could do a Phileas Fogg and like go around the world in 80 days on his Avios points after doing that. So
you pay all his rent on that and Airbnb for every month.
Exactly. I think he lives in Dubai just based on just that one tip. You know, it's such a crazy tip. And like you say, it sounds such a rookie tip. But so many people don't do it. April says, my spending is in the US, but my credit card is GBP. So I'm just a bit concerned about my currency conversion. Let me double check that for you, April. I'll come back and comment on this because I'm pretty sure Matt Cromie, my husband, has a tip for that. And I can't remember what it is right now. So it's to do with making sure that you get the best possible conversion. But so at the moment it comes out and then it comes back off of, presumably you use like a Revolut or a Payoneer or a Wise or something like that to get the best possible what's the word I'm thinking of? Transaction fee, foreign exchange. So let me double check what that is. It might be that one. So Nor's just said Capital on Tap has no foreign transaction fees. I do know Matt does something for that, but I can't remember which one it is. So Marge is saying we spend about 4 to 5K a month on PPC. So yeah, we got people spending some buck here for sure on PPC. So it's good to see. Kay says, I remember when you first introduced us to PPC and Hayden used to ask lots of questions and struggled with it. And now look at where he is today.
Years ago.
Yeah, it's all about, you know, gathering, but it's all about practical experience. I'm a big believer in, and I talk about this in the Hive a lot, is that, and I never really understood the analogy for it until I watched Oppenheimer, the film, where they talk about theory versus practice, you know, obviously with the atomic bombs, you know, a bit more of an extreme example, but anything like this, it's only ever, you can be the most knowledgeable person in the world, especially if you've got a good memory and you can pick stuff up and do stuff like that. But it's not until you put this stuff in practice and you're doing it day in, day out, that not only does it stick, but then it starts to run through the cogs of your brain and you start to be able to problem solve with it as well. Because that's what PPC is, right? It's a lot of problem solving.
Yeah, I think people beat themselves up on it as well, thinking that they're just like stupid or something like that because they can't work it out. But some people just can't get it. Their brains just can't figure this stuff out. It just doesn't really work very well with PPC, and that's totally fine. Just like I've got a lot of weaknesses in different areas. Some people have weakness in this area. Some people are more creative than others. Some of the stuff that Johnny does, some of the stuff that Mark does with all their systems and operations, like I'm just not like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm more the creative side of things.
Yeah.
So everyone's got different, weaknesses, strengths, and everything like that. So yeah, if you're struggling to master it, maybe it's just not your thing as well.
Well, I think that's a really good point, and you hit the nail on the head when you said people beat themselves up on PPC because but for me, PPC is one of the only things on Amazon where one it's hard. It is hard.
It's hard.
It's hard. It's the theory side of it is hard, but then putting it into practice is hard. And then the maintenance of it is hard. So all three sections.
Seasonal changes as well.
Yeah, I would actually say all 3 or 4 sections of what it takes to run successful PPC is hard anyway. And then I personally believe to be good at PPC. So I think there's different levels. I think anybody with the right knowledge and education can run a relatively successful PPC, with the right education, with the right know-how, and the consistency and ability to be able to do it. Whether you'll enjoy it, 2 different things. Whether you want to do it, 2 different things. I really do believe that with PPC, if you're not going to do it yourself, or you don't want to do it, it's hard to become an expert in it. Because I think to be an expert in it, you need to have a certain type of brain. And that's normally a very analytical, mathematical, problem solving, engineering style kind of brain. And if you think about, there's so many moving parts in this business, I almost think you've got your Amazon business as one, and then PPC is that again.
Yeah,
like a separate department.
Yeah, the PPC managers, obviously the ones that work for our agency as well, their brains just work differently as well. That they're very, very analytical. They're not customer focused or anything like that. They're in the numbers. Like sort of mathematicians is the closest I could put them to. Yeah,
exactly. We definitely look for qualifications in maths. when it comes, you need to be good with numbers. And guys, seriously, the amount of times, how many times have I been on a live call when I say, right, what is 32 add 64? And then I'm like, trying to work it out and do this and do that. I consider myself to be a creative. I know you do as well, Hayden. So first of all, I want to reassure people, don't beat yourselves up. Hayden's right. You can't be an expert in every single part of this business. I think it's absolutely something that you have to accept. But I just did a TikTok video on this as well, actually, but it was about sourcing. That it's good to learn it. It's good to know about it. It's good to know how it works. It's good to see how it proceeds. But make a decision at a certain point, especially if you're spending a certain amount of money. Make a decision what you want to do. Do you want to become an expert? How much further do you want to go? Where do you want to take this? Do you want to be monitoring, 2p movements within your business every single time? So I think it's, these are things that it's important to have a look at and, ask those questions of yourself. But by all means, educate yourself first of all, and make sure that you've got a really good grasp of how PPC works. And that's what we're going to, talk a little bit about here today. So Angel says, I'm new to Amazon. Sorry, what does PPC mean? Sorry for asking. Please don't apologize for asking. That's what we're here for. That's what these sessions are for. So when you sell on Amazon, as good as it would be just to put products up and hope that they sell, it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. A lot of the times, especially when you're launching new products on Amazon, you have to use Amazon paid advertising, which is PPC, which stands for pay per click, which is what it says on the tin. Every time somebody clicks on one of the adverts that you put in place, you pay. And then hopefully you get a sale. It'd be nice if it was that easy, though.
Yeah.
Right, so let's have a quick look. Ian says, great, just updated our payment to Amex cards. Cheers for the tip.
Perfect. Let's help one person.
We saved one person. Yes, exactly, from doing that. So Andy says, I struggle on the creative, but I'm an IT developer, so I'm not sure you can have both. I think it's very rare for people to have both on site. I'm very strongly on the creative side, and I fail hopelessly on the analytical side. I do think you can have both, but I don't think you can be proficient in both.
See, I excel. I like to think I'm very good at PPC, and I'm very creative. But what I'm not good at analytically is sort of systems and operations down to like the finite details. That's where I don't think, like Johnny trying to get marginal gains on shipping out, 10,000 products a day, and so and navigating the team around that and the warehouse side of things. Yeah, not for me. That's what I struggle with. But I can go analytical and data and
like, and it is interesting. I don't think you need to be an analytical person to love data, because I love data, but I love it from a consumer point of view. So I love crunching the data in terms of looking at, customer numbers, as in what are people typing, what are they searching for, getting down deep on that type of data. It's not numbers. Put it like this: if they were redoing Oppenheimer, I wouldn't be on the team. I wouldn't make the cut in that respect. Mark says, AMS spend through Amex paid for my flights first class to the USA. Absolutely. You just got to know how to capitalize on those gains. And I really do believe this is a business about making and gaining, or taking advantage of those small gains, because as we found out just this last week that's gone by, it can be shit. Sometimes this business can be really, really shit. But do we think about the shit times when we're sat in business class on our way to Florida?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I just booked as I say, Christmas, a few nights away for my mum and for my girlfriend. All majority of that was paid for on the Amex card, and it's nice. The hotel and the flights. I paid a little bit, but not much at all.
And that's nice. £24.
Huh?
You pay £24.
No, and I pay a little bit for the flights. Don't tell anyone that.
Sorry.
My sister will be watching this.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. No, I'm joking. No, but yeah, that was like a $2,000 trip, like just for 3 nights away in the Christmas, and it's pretty much paid for by the Amex, which is an amazing thing to be able to do.
Absolutely. Right. Let us know your PPC questions in the comments. I'm actually really surprised with the amount of people doing PPC and what they're spending. Actually, with the amount of people that are coming through. So any questions, ask as we go through. So Alan's asked, what's the topic? The topic today is PPC and ads on Amazon, Alan. So that's what we're talking about today. So I wanted to touch on the 5 golden rules when it comes to PPC spend in Q4, because as I said at the very start of this, at the very top of this, PPC can really catch people out during this period of time. So I think the first misconception is clarifying that when it comes to PPC, there's a bit of an urban legend, myth, whatever, that Amazon actually put their prices up during Q4, because we know we're used to shipping prices going up. Couriers, logistics companies, freight forwarders and suppliers, they actually put their prices up during this seasonal period of time because they know it's going to be busy, so they want to capitalize on that. I'm not going to go into whether that's right or wrong. That's capitalism, baby. So it's but because PPC cost goes up so much during Q4, I think people naturally assume that Amazon are there tightening the screws, upping the prices, but that's not actually the case. The reason why between now and probably Christmas, I would say in that run up to Christmas, the reason why the cost of the PPC will go up, or you'll notice it on your bottom line in your pocket, is because it is cost per click. So what that actually means, it's a bidding system. So everybody bids to get their adverts placed in certain areas. So the more people that are going to be looking at those adverts, the more demand. People are naturally, it works in two ways. More people are going to be clicking as we go through the next few weeks. So there's an increase in demand in the people that are clicking, but there's also an increase in competition between sellers. So if Hayden and I were normally competing each other, our probably cost per click would stay quite even throughout the year. But during seasonal time, people want those seasonal sales. Hayden might have expiring stock. I might have advent calendars that I'm selling. So I'm going to want to make sure that I'm in the best possible position to sell those prices. So when we bid against each other, we could be outbidding each other. So it's a hidden cost essentially that Hayden could outbid me. I could lose my placement, but you're going to pay more for it.
Yeah, exactly. But you should get a lot more organic sales at that time of the year. So it spins around, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So it's something to take into account that people will always factor, and this is the human nature of it. So this is golden tip number one. We will always, as humans, recognize our costs going up, but we don't attribute it to our sales going up as well. We're always the first one to say, well, I paid £400 for PPC last month and had £10,000 worth of sales. But we might pay £800 this month and have 15,000. But I guarantee the majority of people will moan about the 400 increase and put the attribution of the higher cost in sales just down to, oh, it's Christmas. But actually it's you're getting those sales as a result of staying in the position that you need to be. And unfortunately, it's a bit of an uncomfortable truth, but the reality of it is, and we have to tell this to clients sometimes through our PPC agency, we have to say, if you do nothing, unfortunately, your sales might go down during this period of time.
Yeah.
And you might have to pay more to stay the same.
Yeah. You'll lose volition if you don't keep just topping it up at least. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yoni has asked, what should your organic PPC sales split be from a daily sales point of view? That's a really good question. So, I mean, it really will depend on what type of PPC you're running, if it's for your own products versus if you're sharing the buy box with someone else. But ultimately, we will always look at the strong percentages of a cost below 20%. So your advertising, we want to get that as low as 20% in your overall business, and TACOS below 10%. So looking at a total of what you pay out in sales versus your total sales. But we don't tend to look at from a daily point of view, because the trouble is, what could happen is you cannot straight away sometimes attribute a sale to a click to a paid sale to an organic sale. We're never going to know that. We don't know that. I today could pay 50p for a click, which could have a 7-day cookie, which means the paid sale could come in 7 days. And then in 7 days, once that's come, 4 weeks later, I could see the overall organic sale increase as a result of that sale that came 4 weeks before, because I've gone up in the organic rankings. So it's very, very hard to track that. So we wouldn't really look at it at that marginalized level. Does that make sense?
Previous month is usually quite nice, isn't it? To judge results. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but overall, I would say the most important thing within your business is to know whether or not an individual product is working from a profit point of view. So I always say, take however much you've spent for that product in advertising over a certain period of time, the longer the better. Divide how many units you've sold versus by the amount that you've spent, and you'll come out with a figure. It might be £2, it might be £3, or whatever. And if that's less than your margin, you know you're all right. That's the easiest way to look at it.
There's so many things to take into account, isn't there? It's obviously click-through rate and everything like that, but seasonal items as well. I sell a lot of seasonal items. Now, we make half of our revenue in November and December for the whole year. Half of our revenue pretty much for the whole business is November and December. So I have to take that into account, you know, and most of them are organic sales. I have to take that into account throughout the year, even summer when I'm overspending on ads, to retain that position, to then get, you know, have a crazy November and December. So yeah, you have to take all that into account as well. So I mean, I look at mine a quarterly, 6 monthly or yearly basis, you know, all of my sort of data, my results for my ads, how much I've spent, you know, doesn't matter if I spent 500 quid on 1 month with no sales in summer, as long as I've got, you know, a very profitable ACE in organically as well throughout the whole year. So, but yeah, generally I like to see less than 12, 10% TACOS is really nice. And then 25% or less on the ACOS is really nice. That's always the goal, but that's not always realistic because, you know, some people don't understand how seasonal their products are, or, you know, how important the main image is, or click-through rate, conversion rate. You know, it's just, if you're getting a lot of clicks but not a lot of conversions, then that's just a clear sign that something's wrong with your listing when you go in it, and that will be affecting your PPC big time, won't it?
Yeah.
So, you know.
And I think the easiest way to look at it is, if you have a high margin business, you can afford to spend PPC. So in correlation to your, if you have a big gap between your organic sales and your advertised sales, if there's a big gap and you're in a big margin business, you can afford that.
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't have a big gap, and you have to watch the margins more depending on how big that gap is between the two. So if you are in low margin, like Johnny's in low margin business, right? So he shouldn't have a big gap between PPC sales and his organic sales, because his margins might not be able to absorb that. So it comes down to a lot. It's a very individual thing. We work with people that have big gaps between the both, and we have some that have smaller gaps because they rank beautifully and organically for all of the, you know, the lower rank terms, but they struggle with the really competitive terms. So their PPC might only be focused on 2 or 3 search terms that they need to rank for, but it costs them a lot of money. To be able to rank for those. So it is very individual, and I'm sorry if that's not the answer that you wanted, Johnny, but it's all about knowing the percentages and the gaps and the difference between them. You know, that's it. There's not really a set answer for that, unfortunately.
I think the clearest indicator if you're good, if your product offering is good or not, is effective or not, is how hard you're finding the PPC in terms of pushing it. You know, if you're finding it a constant uphill battle, then I would say have a look at your click-through rate and your conversion rate and see what the comparison is there. Because, you know, if you've got a really good product at a great price, great images, great listing, good reviews, it shouldn't be a struggle to sell it. You know what I mean? So the clear indicator, if you're spending loads on PPC and you're struggling to get results, it's probably down to your product offering, or you're not staying in stock enough.
Which brings me on very nicely to golden rule number 2: track your results, guys. I'll let you do that one, Hayden. As you led us nicely into that, track your results. If you can't measure it, then what's the point?
You cannot master what you do not measure.
There we go. Quotepedia is that. We had this conversation yesterday. I was making a pig's ear out of a phrase that I was trying to say to Hayden, and I was like, if you do this, do that, and he was like, do you mean if you do this, do that? And I was like, yeah, that's it. So I call him Quotepedia now.
Quotepedia. Yeah, you did proper butcher that. I wish I remember what it was, but I can't remember what it was. That's annoying.
I normally say it backwards.
But yeah, you can download all your PPC data and your results. You can download that all, guys, and then you can. Obviously, we do it weekly for clients. You should do it probably at least every fortnight, shouldn't you? Download all the results.
Yeah.
Understand your click-through rate, what the goal is there, your conversion rate, what your TACOS is, total advertising cost to spend, what your ACOS is. And just set a goal and figure out how to do it. You know, like if we're not converting as well as we know we should be on a product, then we will. The first thing we do personally is look at titles and main images. And then the next thing we do is, check reviews, check descriptions, check bullet points, everything like that, until keep tweaking it. There could just be one image, you see, that's putting buyers off,
Yeah.
and I'm talking about listings here because it's direct correlation with PPC. But this is when you're analyzing your data, which most people aren't, from your PPC sales vs your organic. This is when you can start digging into what the problem is. For example, I've got a VA that goes through all my listings at the moment. She's updating all images, making them better. But some of them we update, even though I know all the pictures were better in one of our products, it just stopped selling as soon as we updated it. And, I just check in, we're still organically ranking. Everything's like that. It's all good. And I noticed that there was one image that was in there that explained that these products were handmade that she had taken out. And that happened to be the biggest selling point. So I put that back in, and then all of a sudden the sales started coming and stuff like that. So what I'm saying is, one little tweak like that, either adding or deducting from your listings, could have a significant impact. But you're not going to know that until you start, understanding your results, seeing a goal of where you want to be. And if you're not there, you have to keep tweaking your listing until you get there. That tweak could be down to price as well. As I say, it could be title. You could even be suppressed and you don't know it. Yeah.
How many times, Hayden, have we gone through, we've looked at a listing and we've said, right, this isn't selling, and we've changed one word in the title, or rephrased something, or there is a word in there that shouldn't be in there. It's on the prohibited list or something like that. Small changes. And although this isn't a golden rule, let's give this as a golden nugget. It's an extra one. Track those changes as well, but make them a little bit of a time, so you know what's working and what isn't working. So someone will come to me generally with okay, it's not selling, it's not working, it's not doing this. So I've changed the title, I've changed the main image, I've redone the bullet points, I've done this to A+ content, I've put a video on, and I'm like, and now it's selling, great. So my next response is, okay, so what worked? Don't know. Don't know. One small change at a time, track the result, see what happens, because the next time it happens, which it will, it's Amazon at the end of the time. You can now know in your fix it bag, your fix it toolkit, you'll know that if you do this, it can make a change. It can have a positive result. Works both ways, though, can have a negative. We've had it can have a negative result. If you change something for the negative, it's always got to be trackable. And if you are paying for a keyword, make sure you are tracking your organic ranking for that keyword. So say, for instance, I am bidding on, I also got my props on my desk. These are makeup sponges. Say, for instance, I am wanting, it's in my title, it's in my bullet points, and I want to rank organically for the word face makeup sponge. Okay. How do I know if I am paying for that on PPC, whether it's working? Have to be able to track it. And one of the clearest indicators is to be able to track that organic rank. So before I started my PPC, I was position number 38. Now I've started my PPC, I'm at number 16. So I know it's working. So then I need to make that adjustments. The amount of people that don't do that, I would actually say, is probably more than the amount of people that don't have their credit cards in their PPC details.
Yeah, it's one of the first things I say. Like, if we've got an introduction call to a new client, even if they don't take us on, I say this is what you should be doing. Even if we're not working on their accounts, you should be tracking your organic rank all the time, because that's not really, we will track it. Obviously, we do track it, see progress, but that's not really up to us to do that. In your business, you should understand the organic rank side of things, and you should see if your business is moving forwards or if it's sort of staying the same. And that's what, obviously, that's what we want PPC for. That's the main reason we do it, to gain the organic rank, isn't it? Or to maintain the organic rank. And if you're not doing that, then you've got a problem, because you don't want to be forever having to spend to maintain your sales.
You want to be paying, you want to be getting the best bang for your buck. So common question we always get asked is, once I achieve this position, should I turn that PPC off? No, it's like, no, you need to pay to play. And, especially if it's in a competitive area, because if you don't pay to be there, someone else will. So, the best thing when it comes to, visibility on Amazon is your product being in as many places as possible. You want to spam that customer with your image so they, wherever they look. So that's a very advanced PPC strategy, is to ensure that when someone types something in, they see nothing but you. That's on the advanced side of things. So it's important to ensure that if you can pay to be in that position, you should. But you shouldn't overpay. So you have to find the right balance.
I would just add to that as well. Some people can't afford, like even me, I've got 60, 70, ASINs that sell well, and we've been doing them for many years. We personally can't afford to always be advertising manual campaigns on every single one of them, because it just, the margin isn't
Impossible.
there. So if you can't afford to do that, then what I would always advise is, obviously your main best sellers should always have a manual campaign, I believe, as long as you've got, good ACOS on that. Always running your auto campaigns. And then if you're really struggling to, with the spend, then this is why, once again, you should be monitoring your organic ranks. If you see yourself losing it, if you see yourself losing fruition or anything like that, then that's when you should make sure your portfolios are set up correctly so that you can just dive in there, turn your campaigns back on for any that are losing that momentum. If you're really struggling with affordability, then just tweak them, turn them back on until you get your spot back, turn them back off if you have to. This is worst case scenario if you really can't afford it, but you should always be running some sort of campaigns, even if you're filtering them and going through different types. That's what I believe anyway. That's for people that can't afford to always be running them,
which is the majority of people. If you think about it, if you have even 30 products in your unique offering, creating your own opportunities on Amazon, if you think about every time we create a new listing, we pull off a list of search terms, it could be 150 search terms related to just one ASIN. Times that by 30 is 45,000, I think. I told you I was bad with maths, guys. You cannot physically have 45,000 keyword campaigns running, search term campaigns running. It's simply impossible, and you will not cover it. You will, even the deepest of pockets will not be covering all they possibly could, and you shouldn't need to as well. That's the other thing, because again, urban legend myth busting, the majority of successful ASINs and products that are sold on Amazon are successful off of the back of 2 or 3 search terms. That's it. 80%. It's an 80% rule.
Down to listing and product offering again, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So, don't be overwhelmed. And sometimes actually a really small targeted campaign of a very highly relevant search term is better than chucking 100 quid a day budget at an auto campaign that's going to F up your conversion rates. So it's, sometimes less is more on PPC. Again, big myth that people think, oh, okay, I'll just chuck $1,000 a day at it. That actually can have a really bad effect. So targeting and knowing your product, great listing, all of the elements, you've got to tick so many different boxes when it comes to this, guys. And you know what? There's so many plates to spin. You just can't do it all. So that's the important thing to consider. You just can't do it all. Sean said, this is a great point. It's one of those things. It's not directly related to PPC, but it's very relevant to it. So we're talking about a title here. So I'm not sure if people are aware of this. There are certain words you can and can't use in a title, but one of the most important things in a title has to be factual. Okay, there can't be any subjective terms. Now, gift is one of those words that you shouldn't technically use unless it's contextually correct. So if I am advertising a product and say, for instance, it's a makeup set, I should not be writing the words perfect gift, gift for mum, gift for women, or this, because what is that? It's an opinion. It's my objective view of that product. It might be the perfect gift for me, but it's not the perfect gift for you. Now, gift for men, gift for women, those you'll get away with because Amazon haven't deemed those. But believe me, hot tip, don't put them in your title. Don't pay for them on PPC. They're too expensive. You will not rank for gift for men, gift for women in your launch period. And you will burn your money quicker than you can imagine, especially during this time of year. And don't put it in your title if you're not going to bid on it.
Yeah, it's way too broad as well. Valentine's gifts for her. Oh, I've been burnt on that. Stuff like that. Yeah. 60 quid for one sale. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. So don't do it. You will not rank for it in a million years. Build up on other terms, and then you can come back and look at it at a date. But if you are launching with gift for men, gift for women, you're going to burn through that money quicker than you'll get sales. You will get sales off of it. But like Hayden said, by the time someone actually goes through, someone's clicked it 14 times and then you'll get a sale. Now, again, that does come down to margin. If you've got fantastic margins, maybe you can afford that in your business, but you're not going to rank organically, because how you get an organic rank through PPC is you have to sell more than the next person in any given period of time to get above them. So if you get the odd sell for gift for men, gift for women, you're not going to rank for it, because the likelihood is you would have to sell that 1,000 times for a period 8 or more days consistently to go one slot above the person in front of you. Or so it's pointless.
You're much better off at Valentine's hamper, Valentine's bear, something more specific always worked for me. And that's what I'd be doing if I was unsure, if I was a newbie and I was unsure about PPC. I did talk about this in one of my YouTube videos recently. I would just talk about, for newbies, aim for 3 to 4 to 5 keywords. Set up a broad phrase and exact campaign for each one. Just focus on them. Just high budgets, low bids, and just if you're really struggling to rank for them, but you are getting clicks, then go back to the product. Like you're not necessarily doing anything wrong with that, even though it's basic PPC. You're not necessarily doing anything wrong. Maybe your product just isn't really, people aren't liking it. Simple as that. Sometimes people think they're bad at PPC when actually they might be bad at listing creation. Not always. I'm just saying,
creating products,
or creating the product, or the offering, or the price they've overlooked, or they think they can charge more when other products have been there with thousands of reviews for years, and there's no reason they can warrant that price increase. Main image isn't good enough, suppressed, I don't know. So usually if you've got entry level basic PPC and it's not working, it's probably down to your listing and not anything else.
Or the product. Or there's simply no demand for the product.
Demand can be overlooked as well. 700 a month total search for a product, and they're wondering why it's only getting 5-10 sales a month. Because only a percentage of them people are going to convert. There's not much search there, and you've got competition as well. So actually, if you look at the chances of it selling, that's actually not bad odds. Looking at your total search.
There is a market for that. I've taught it in the bundle course. All these years, is the expectation is you can look for low search, but don't expect high sales. And if you've got a product that you can create that sells 10 times a month at a fantastic margin that you could easily replenish at 10 units a month, that's a success as far as I'm concerned. But having that expectation, but going back to the gift word, so it's got to be contextually correct. So gift for men, gift for women, you can use, because that's very broad and Amazon doesn't penalize that, but you can't use ultimate gift, perfect gift, luxury gift anymore. That will get you suppressed, or it could get you suppressed depending on the category.
Perfect definitely does.
Perfect, luxury, sometimes you can get away with that, but it's a subjective term. The only way you can use gift in a title is if it's contextually correct. So say, for instance, it's gift wrapping. You're selling gift wrap. So that's when you can use the word gift, or gift voucher. Well, you wouldn't be selling a gift voucher, but you know what I mean. When it is supposed to be in that word. So wording in titles, again, we see people burning so much all the time, and it's nothing to do with that. It could be one word, it could be an image, it could be anything. Learn to become detectives. That's the way I always say it. Get your detective hat off and try and work it out. Kuram said, "Is there a replay of this?" Yes. Hopefully there is, providing it's live. Welcome, guys. As well, loads of you are here. Loads of you are asking questions. Really interactive. Really appreciate this. Yoni's asked. I'll do a couple more questions, then I'll come back to golden rule number 4. I think it is. I think it's 4. Yoni said, "Why have I convert so much better on certain keywords on an auto campaign than I do on a manual campaign? That is a great question. Do you want to answer that, or do you want me to answer that one?
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay, so auto campaigns. So what it comes down to is different words work in different campaigns. So with an auto campaign, it could well be there's not a lot of competition on that. So therefore, you're hitting a different type of bid, you're hitting a different type of budget, you're hitting a different type of keyword. The second you bring it out and move it into an exact campaign, and we see this all of the time, sometimes what can happen, it might, and I assume this what you mean, sometimes when you pull it out of the auto campaign and you put it in its own campaign, it might not convert as well. One, if it's been converting, the easiest answer, if it's been converting really, really well on an aged campaign, aged campaigns do better than newer campaigns. So it might just take a little bit of time, but it's to do probably with finding the sweet spot of that product. You know, could it be on a different bidding system? Could it be on a different bidding price? Does the word is the placement of the ad different? You know, whereas that person might have picked it up at the bottom of the page, whereas you're bidding at the top of the page against different levels of competition, and then they're comparing your product versus someone else's, and therefore they go for the other type of product because it fits better. The relevancy of that fits better. So different words perform in different campaigns. The best place is to find its home. Okay, so you never switch off a successful. This is a huge error people do. If it's working in an auto campaign and you pull it out to test it in an exact campaign, don't switch the auto campaign off. Keep it there. Yes, you might get a little bit of cannibalization, as in the campaigns start to eat into each other, but it doesn't matter. You know, you can test it in the exact, you can see what sort of bid level works, and it may well be that you're being outbid in exact, and that there's more competition on exact. That's why it doesn't work. So test it, move the bidding, move your budgets, see what works, see what doesn't work, but then also test it in phrase and broad. And
was going to say that straight away. I'd take it and put it in a phrase and a broad campaign, and then you'll probably be able to find it. Because what auto's doing, auto's showing up for broad, phrase, and exact. It's testing many different ways of doing it. So the only way you're going to find out is if you put it in a broad and a phrase to see how well it's converting there. And then what you can do is slowly bring the bids down once you are getting sales to see where the sweet spot is. If it stops selling, then you might want to bring it up a little bit. And then, you know, you've already tested the exact campaign, I think. So I would test it in a broad and a phrase, slowly bring, you know, once you get the sales at say 50, 60, 70p bid, depending on how competitive it is. And then if you're getting sales consistently and you want to bring that down a little bit, keep bringing it down until you don't get any sales, and then bring it up a little bit. And then just, you might have that sweet spot there where it's a really nice converting campaign in a broad or a phrase at the amount that you want. That's what I would do.
Yeah. But always test. Always be testing. And, you know, just because it doesn't work or does work in one area, don't switch that one off, but never switch off a successful campaign, even if you feel that there might be a little bit of cannibalization, purely because it's better to have the cannibalization than it is to switch off the tap. So that's a really good way to look at PPC, is the tap, you know, hot, cold, just right. Or, you know, is little tiny marginal sort of movements at a time, and test and see what work. But ultimately, I would think, Yoni, it comes down to competition. So there's much less competition on a term in an auto campaign at a certain bid than there is maybe on that exact campaign. So and different keywords perform on different budgets, different bids. Just find its home and see where it's, you know, it performs best. I think that's the best way to say it.
Well, you can go into the back of the auto campaign and have a look at what you're showing up for as well, what you're ranking, and you could start harvesting the data from there. It might sound like gibberish to some people. You can look at the search times from that auto campaign, Yoni, and you might be able to find a term that relates to it, and you might be able to, it will show you what you're converting for if you do the last 30 days of that data. So yeah. And then you might be able to find the keyword it's got the sales for.
Or you can just hire us and we'll do it for you. You don't have to do all that work.
It is a lot of work. When I said that, I'm thinking about the old me that didn't know anything 3 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't have a clue what I'm talking about.
But that's the thing as well. By the way, that was in jest. We will do a shameless plug at the end because we always do. And you know us guys. We're not here to sell you anything, but we're here to, sort of hopefully educate. And then if anyone does need any assistance, and more than welcome to drop us a message, drop myself or Hayden a message. Sean says we have listings that are selling but are not getting ranked. Doesn't show any rank number. Anyone else notice this? Yes, it's still selling daily and it's confusing, but I tell my VA, leave it alone. It's selling, LOL. That's me putting the fear of God into people. So even though Hayden, has learned this from me, we operate very differently. So this is, Hayden has, developed a huge amount of experience, a phenomenal seller. But it's funny over time, even with the way that I've taught, you've gone off on a slightly different path in the way that I teach. I'm very much like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I follow that. Whereas Hayden's like,
fix.
Yeah. He's like, take it off, fix it, do this, do that. And, it's appropriate in both ways, for certain things, but always test.
It's funny. I had someone the other day say to me, I was helping them on a call, and they were like, "Oh, Natalie's doing like this," and I'm like, "Yeah, we're not the same person. Like, we're not going to do." I said, "Listen to her or listen to me. We're not always going to be 100%."
But again, it's also about experience as well. You have, based on my experience, based on Hayden's experience, you have to, it's that theory versus practical. Sometimes, and I will say this to people when I hate it, I'll say, sorry guys, I'm going to sit on the fence on this one. I'm going to splinters up my bum and I'm going to sit on the fence on this one. The only way to try is to do. It's as simple as that, but you have to accept the consequences either way.
For that one. So first thing, I assume you checked if it's organically ranking, if you're not suppressed or anything like that.
What I will say is sometimes it depends. Are you doing a manual or organic rank check, or are you relying on something like Helium 10?
Always do manual.
Yeah,
I would. Yeah,
exactly. That's what I was going to say. Do manual, because as much as I love Helium 10, their ranking, well, it's glitchy. It's software. It's never gonna match a manual check. So yeah, but in that case, if it's selling, leave it alone.
If it's selling just from PPC, I definitely wouldn't leave it alone. If it's just PPC, but yeah, that's yeah. I mean,
oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
If it's just PPC, then it sounds like it's suppressed to me. But I would look for I would look for that. If you can find yourself in search, then it might be, if it's really competitive, then it might just be that it's only going to be PPC sales to start with, and you need to just keep hammering it.
Correct.
It depends how competitive it is. I don't know,
because that's how it works, guys. We've already touched on it. If you do not sell more than the person ranked higher than you for a certain period of time, if you don't outsell them consistently, you won't move up in the rankings. You're only getting your sales based on PPC. So this is why we say, this is going back to it, which we cover in the Hive. If there's too much competition, it doesn't matter if it's the best product, the best listing, the best whatever in the world. If you cannot rise in those organic ranks, you're only going to be getting sales based on PPC. And if you've got a high margin product, that's fine. You just got to accept it.
Yeah.
You were at 40% gross margin and now you're at 20%.
Yeah, you've got to decide where you want to be with your organic rank. That's what I think, because that's going to depend your strategy with PPC. I've got some competitors might even be listening. Like, I think they see me, like, sometimes I never go for top spots. Like, and I think my competition think they're beating me in that. And I'm like, I'm purposely not going for the top spot. I always go for rank 8, 9, 10, whatever in specific keywords, because you don't have to spend loads on PPC. And I tend to go a little bit higher margin. And in order to get the top spot, you have to be the most competitive on price most times. So you're making less margin, you're selling more for sometimes less money with the amount you're spending on PPC, vs the amount that you're making on that margin. So it's, you know what I mean? It's to decide where you want to be in the organic rank. And that's what I say as well.
And if you get really good and you can have, like Hayden said, which I think, Hayden, you're a master at, is ranking strategically in those type of positions. Yes, you might only pick up 10 sales of those a month, but if you're doing that 8 times over, in those different areas, because again, it could be a little bit of a myth. This is one of those things I just assume people know, So let me know if you know this or not. Every time you type in something, and you have to put your customer hat on. So every time you type in something different on Amazon, you get different results. So if I type in makeup sponge, I'll get one set of results.
Yeah.
If I type in beige makeup sponge, I could get a different set of results. And every single time your product will be ranked differently according to what the customer types in.
Yeah. So if you do makeup bag or makeup bags with an S on the end, completely different. That's what people sometimes don't get. Yeah.
Yeah. So it isn't just being in one position for one search term. It's having a nice mix and a nice balance of, you know, being in different positions for different search terms, paying more for some. Again, perfect example. Paying more for some campaigns, individual campaigns within your portfolio might be unprofitable for one search term. But on your other 5 in that might be very profitable. But if you take out that unprofitable one, it can send your overall sales down, which can make the others unprofitable. So sometimes we have to keep paying out for a word that doesn't convert because it's relevant. If we take that away, Amazon will think that we're not relevant for that product, so it won't show us on other things. So it is a very strategic way of looking at things. I have a client that has, we've talked about this. They don't convert on their most relevant search term. They just do not convert.
Yeah.
But the second we try and take it away, their sales plummet and their organics ranks plummet because Amazon thinks that, and they don't convert because of competition, by the way, pricing, and they're not competitively priced, but they're quite happy being in the luxury. So they know they can't compete, but they can't not show for it because it's exactly what describes the product. So it's a bit of a kick in the teeth, that one, unfortunately. You just kind of have to suck it up that every time someone clicks that, you know, you're probably not going to get a sale because they're going to buy another one unless they're looking for the higher end of the market, which most people aren't.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's not really a thing on Amazon. There is a higher end of the market, but it's not really a big thing on Amazon, is it? I think majority are looking for a great price. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's 50-50. I think it's 50-50 Amazon. But yeah, I think the overall average Amazon customer is a price. I think COVID changed the game, and I think it brought more convenience shoppers. I'm a convenience shopper. I'm not a price-driven customer. I'm a convenience. So, you know, if I can, I will pay through the nose to have something there and then.
I'm laughing because you're like my girlfriend. Yeah. Price? What price? Who cares about price?
Prices are for rookies. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you need to, oh no, I was going to say another quote. Then I'm not going to do it. I'll probably get it wrong.
Yeah, we start looking at like, yeah, I don't know, like a hotel for like a couple of £100 a night, and all of a sudden, like, you know, 2 searches later, she's at 700 a night or something crazy.
At the rip. Yeah.
Doesn't even know she's done it. It sounds like she doesn't even aware of it.
Oh, absolutely. You could put 10 products on a shelf, and I will be drawn to the most expensive, every single time without fail. And I don't even try and do it. I don't even want to have the most expensive, you know, but it's just the way it is.
The best quality.
Yeah, for sure. Sean says, Natalie just mentioned the word voucher. LOL, vouchers in this business is amazing, especially Capital on Tap. Getting £500 a month in vouchers now, plus Q4 is here. Always pay the credit card on time. Capital on Tap for sure. I'm amazed they're still allowing it. Capital on Tap hasn't made a penny from me in interest.
Yeah, so
you have to be careful with that because sometimes they will penalize you for that.
They changed their setup recently, didn't they? It used to be you get 30 days or something, then it turned to 14 days, I think, where you have to pay it back or you get charged interest. I can't remember. I'll have to check it out. I pay mine every 3 or 4 days.
56 to 30. I think it was higher and then it went lower because you could manipulate it so you get like 56, but they made it more.
So I would advise everyone to check their Capital and Tap statements. It doesn't show on the phone, really, not that I see, only on your computer. If you log in and just check if you've been charged interest from them, because I didn't think I was, but I was, because I was paying it off every couple of weeks, but it turns out that I was missing payments. Now I pay it every 3 or 4 days, the whole balance now, because I'm just not taking the risk. You know,
Yeah.
I smash up the Amex really. That's where because I just know it says very clearly when you need to pay it by, and I love that. On the Capital tab, it doesn't. I can't see
They
where
want to catch you out. We've been
they
caught
try and
out a
catch you
couple
out.
of times. I don't mind admitting it. We've been caught out a couple of times, and I think we got caught out this month actually again.
Yeah,
because it's exactly for the reason what you've said. When you think you've cleared it and paid it, and then like with another type of credit card, you pay it off and it's daily interest. So you know, you just clear it and it's gone. Whereas I think if you with the Capital on tap, if you go like one day, they still charge you for the whole month. So it's a crazy card. It's one of those cards that is phenomenal card if you know how to use it, for sure.
Yeah.
Right. I'll just answer Kai's question, then I'm going to quickly go over points 4 and 5. This has been such an interesting conversation, and hopefully you guys agree. I think it's been packed with a lot of knowledge here, so hopefully you'll get something out of it for sure. Kai's asked, what if I'm only getting ad sales on the XXX gift and nothing else? Should I look at bidding higher for other keywords? So again, it's not necessarily about bidding higher. If you're not you need to know how to read that search term report. So it's all about impressions. If you're getting impressions, people are looking at it, great, but are they clicking through? If then, well, first of all, if you're not getting any impressions, you're not bidding high enough, or there's not enough demand. If you're getting impressions but they're not clicking, then it's probably what Hayden's been talking about. Could be they're just not interested, or you know, there's something putting them off from clicking in. If you're getting impressions and you're getting clicks but you're not getting sales, then there's a big turn off factor in the listing. There's something that's putting them off in the listing. So you've just got to know which one it is. But if you're not getting impressions, then you're simply not showing up, which means you're getting outbid.
Yeah, if you're not in a very competitive market, you should be able to go after your first 4 or 5, you know, keywords. I think, you know, if you've got like 2,000, 3,000 search a month, normal competition, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 500 competitors, you should be able to spend, I think, £1 per bid, you know, on broad phrase exact, and go after all of them, and you should be able to get some success of that. I think, you know, if not, then it's probably down to your listing, I would say, or it's suppressed or something.
Yeah, suppressed can be another big thing as well. God, I feel like that's a whole nother Pandora's box. It's amazing, isn't it? How much when you talk about it out loud, when you do it for a long period of time, it's just there, it's in your head. But then when you actually talk about it, you realize how much goes into this stuff. It's crazy the amount of thought.
Things like
suppression.
I used to spend hours worrying about that. What's the issue? Is this going to mess everything up? Now I just do it, and if come back in a few hours, check it. Do it, and like a few days later, I'm like, still suppressed. What's the issue? And then now I just give up. If it's been 3 or 4 days and I'm not showing, I'll just it's the end of that bundle. Move on.
Well, we've got 2 different types.
Yeah,
2 different types of suppressions. We've got suppressions and we've got ghost suppressions. So suppressions you can fix. Ghost, very hard. You know, to be able to and simply they're asshole suppressions as well, that we just don't know why and we can't fix it. So I think I'm going to rephrase those asshole suppressions. Because we can't fix those ones. So Ian says, sorry, going back, don't apologize. Keyword phrases such as perfect gift, are they okay, and bullet points. That is the perfect place for them. So your title is for facts and your bullet points are for your selling points. So all your subjective kind of language and how it's best going to solve that person's life. That's exactly where it is. And then your A+ content is a mix of the facts and the benefits, but no claims. So you've always got to know what goes where at any time, you know, on your listing. That's the perfect thing. So let's go back to point 4 and point 5 of the golden rule. So point 4, or golden rule number 4, really quickly, is budgets. So this catches so many people out during Q4. As we've talked about, it becomes very expensive. So I always remember I used to sell chocolate hampers years ago on Amazon, like 5-6 years ago, on around this time of year. And what was really funny was, before we knew a lot about PPC, we used to stick 20 quid on a campaign and we bid on something like chocolate hamper for a chocolate hamper, right? And I wouldn't have even woken up It'd be like this was before I was like 5 a.m. club. Be like 7:30 in the morning, out of budget, out of budget on chocolate hamper on like the 12th of December, because it would have literally, it wouldn't have even touched the sides. So you need to be aware of your budget in two ways. One, if you set 100 quid during this time of year, it will spend 100 quid. So always be aware of that. So only set what you are prepared to spend during this period of time. You will go out of budget, but do not fall into the adding more budget, adding more budget, adding more budget per day. We see people doing this all the time. It doesn't have the same effect, and it will just spend that. It's not a strategic win to add it. Set a budget that you're happy with and stick with it. Yes, of course, if it goes out at 11 o'clock in the morning, the next day you might want to look at increasing your budget, but do not fall into the trap of, I'll add another £10 and that'll get me through. I'll add another 10. That's like what I see like on the slot machines. Oh, I'll keep playing and I'll win. I keep playing. It doesn't work like that. It's about the campaign, because you're never going to win against someone that knows exactly what budget they need to have for that day. Amazon's going to go with their bid. It's as simple as that, and it's just going to waste your money. So be prepared to know what you're going to spend and set your budget rules accordingly. So there's two settings on a budget rule. One is you can set it to increase by 25% to spend your unallocated spend. So if in the whole month your spend is not what you thought it would be, there's a little button that you can send that will say that if you run out of budget, it will increase it by 25%, but it will only use your unallocated spend. And there's another one that says, if you run out of budget, it'll increase your daily budget by 100%. I would advise going with the 25% option. But the caveat is, in Q4, you're probably not going to have any unallocated spend. So the best thing to do is to just increase your budget. So if your budget is £10 a day and you haven't got any unallocated, don't hit the 100% if you don't want it to spend 20, because it will spend 20. You're better off just increasing it to £12.50. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Well, I know it does to you. Just let me, just clarify that kind of makes sense to me. So that's point number 4. So unless you want to spend it, don't set it, because it will spend during this period of time. And then finally, my last point, and then I'll come back to the questions, is don't get too granular. So I'd already sort of covered this before. Please don't get too granular on your costs during Q4. Now, that might sound like a bit of an oxymoron. It's like, Natalie, you've just told us, spend an hour telling us to watch our costs, know what we're doing, not what we're doing this. You cannot get granular on your results from your PPC in Q4 because they're not relevant moving forward. They're very specific. You can take that data and you can use it for next year. We have a client that does that beautifully. That tracks all of their data during this period of time, and we can utilize that for next year. But we cannot judge it now based on, I can't judge it on chocolate hamper on the 12th of December, knowing whether or not I can successfully rank for that on the 12th of December versus the 13th of January. Two very different things. So you always have to have a longer period of time outside of a seasonal period to know whether something's working for you. Don't give up on something because it hasn't worked during Q4, because it's what we call skewed data. So
it's a great time to launch and a bad time to launch at the same time.
Absolutely. We've had it work both ways. So we have launched a wrong product that's cost us a fortune, that hasn't touched the sides because, and it's not because it doesn't work now, we just can't rank it now because PPC cost is through the roof. Because you've got to remember, PPC cost will increase across the board. It doesn't increase, it's not specific to advent calendars. The cost increases everything. So don't test during this period of time with a view to taking those results moving forward. You have to separate the two. So hopefully that makes sense.
Nice. Any questions there?
Yeah, we've got a few more. Brianna says, how do you change that so it's 25%, not 100? Oh, it's just like a little button that you hit. So you go into your budget rules and change it that. Because, yeah, as Brianna has validated, it's been spending 100%. So personally, I'm actually not a big fan of either of those options. I personally think just changing your daily budget will probably be better. The only issue with the issue with not doing it with one of the automations, which is the 25 or the 100, is you just got to do it. You got to remember you've done it and do it all the time. Where if it's on an automation, you can just do it. But yeah, I can absolutely say it will spend the 100% this time of year. And that's the sort of stuff that can make the difference. If your profit margin is 6% net and you don't realize you've got something like that on, it could take it down to 3%, or it could wipe you out. It could wipe out your profit margin. So always keep an eye on that for sure. Yoni said, I've noticed that when I increase my auto campaign budget on certain campaigns, my ACOS goes through the roof. Is this the correct way of doing this? Or is Amazon just playing dirty tricks trying to get me to up my budget?
So it can happen. I think a lot of people think higher budget equals more sales. Better conversion. It generally doesn't. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily mean anything. We usually do higher budgets, lower bids, don't we?
Yeah.
If you're worried about that, start putting the auto bid down, perhaps. Depending on how low it is at the moment. But yeah, it doesn't always mean there's no set rule. You know what I mean? I found quite a nice balance that works for me. Sometimes if you've got the auto, if you've got 60 ASINs in it or something, and you set the auto at 10 or 15, it could really impact how your products are being, spread it. How much it could suppress sort of your ads sort of thing. So sometimes it's nice to have like a big budget, like 50 or 100. But as I say, a lot of the time it won't spend that, but it will in Q4. That's the difference. Yeah.
Exactly.
So a lot of mine are set up to 100 on an auto, but they spend about 25, 30 a day. Even though they're set 100, but that's because my bids are really low. If I had the bids at 20, 30p, then it would spend it. And I have them high because I believe that sometimes a lot of big experts in the space believe the same. If your budgets are too low, then Amazon, because you're trying to suppress them, Amazon, all the algorithms and stuff like that don't push you out as much as they would, if that makes sense. So that's the reason I do it. But yeah, be careful in Q4.
Yeah, I don't think that's a myth. I'm a true believer in that is exactly what happens. So, but it's a bit like playing chicken with that, because if you set it 100 quid, then you got to be prepared to pay 100 quid. It's as simple as that. But that comes with experience. So a perfect example would be, me teaching someone that and them not actually doing it until like 3 years later because they've tested it all the time and they know that that's the case. So I really wouldn't. I used to teach it, actually. I did used to say, right, put it 100 and just, trust me. But if everything else didn't quite translate, people like, I spent 100 quid, and I'd be like, oh shit. So yes, it's just be prepared to pay it. If you set it, be prepared to pay it. For sure. Yeah, Brianna, this is what we will say: higher budget, lower bids, and move the bids up if you need to. But again, I don't know why people don't listen to me. So I was one of the first people in the UK space, and I absolutely know I was, to talk about you have to toot your own horn sometimes, and this is me, beep beep. I was one of the first people to teach the arbitrage penny PPC for wholesale products. I've been teaching it for years and years and years. As long as I've been doing, I reckon I've been teaching it for 7 years easily.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and people, when they say, oh, I've still got that original campaign that you did and it's phenomenal and it does this, people mess that campaign up, right? That campaign is specific for a reason. So if somebody says to me, oh, I set that up, I did that campaign, but I upped the bid, or I did this, or I did that.
Yeah.
It really makes me angry. Well, it doesn't make me angry. You know, I have got a life, guys, I promise. Because it's a specific campaign for a specific reason. I don't have time to go into it now, but there's a video on YouTube on Beyond the Buy Box that explains it. If you want to go for a higher bid, set a different campaign. That campaign is set for a reason, to target a certain type of products. So if you need to, if you run out of budget, increase the budget. Don't increase the bid. It won't get you any more sales. Increase the budget.
Massive misconception that people think, oh, it's done really well, let's just increase the budget and I'll get more sales. You know, it's just not always the case. A lot of the time you put it from 5p to 10p, you get less sales for a higher price. And people are like, what? You know, it's set up for a reason, as you say. You know, that's getting bottom of the barrel keywords and products and just showing you up in specific places.
And placement, absolutely.
If you increase it, what you're doing is competing with other people, like in a different level, you know, that are actually spending more. Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame.
For sure. Just going back to Kai's question, we'll make this the last one because it's a simple one. What CTR click-through rate should I be aiming for? Anything above 0.5 is considered pretty good. So anything above that, anything between 0.2 to 0.5 is okay. But probably with optimization will get better. Anything below that, it's not good. So that's the way. But, you know, sometimes things can have really high impressions, but very high levels of competition. There's no set rule, but if your click-through rate is lower, but you're making lots of lovely sales and lots of lovely profit, then who cares? It just probably means there's a lot of competition for what you're doing and you're doing a good job. That's what annoys me sometimes is people say, oh, my click-through rate isn't this. Okay, you're making sales, you're making profit. Great, you're doing a good job. Don't get too granular on it.
Yeah. So, some products only go as far as, you know, this is why it's important to set goals. Some products only go as far as they will go, you know, at that price. You know, if you want more click-through rate, you want more conversion rate, the price is the easiest way to do it. But then you're going to lose on the other side of things, aren't you? Not going to make as much profit, much margin. But sometimes it can be good to do that for 30 days, just to improve that click-through ratio to Amazon, get yourselves up there. Yeah.
For sure. Right, let's wrap it up because we've gone over slightly. But what an interesting subject. And Hayden, thank you so much for joining us, because it is such a not taboo, obviously, not taboo subject, but it's one of those subjects that people, you know, even to get to a foundational level does require quite a lot of time and dedication and good education to get to that point. So, you know, for anybody that doesn't know, Hayden and I do run a PPC agency, which is very successful and we get very good results for our clients. Now, this session is not about selling you anything. I hope you've taken something away, you know, from it. Absolutely. We're not going to go into a 30-minute presentation about how we're going to change your life. But if you are somebody that is at a certain point in your business and you don't want the hassle of having to maintain campaigns and budgets and clicks and click-through rates and whatnot, drop one of us a message and we can have a chat. I hope everyone knows as well as enough that we are not hard sell people. So, you know, and like Hayden said, we will tell you if we can't help you. And if we can't help you, we'll give you advice.
I turned 2 people away last week, so I didn't think they were right. Yeah. Well, we're not going to say you into something we don't think is right to you.
No, absolutely not. And sometimes it may well be we've started with some people on PPC, and until things improve in certain other areas, we can't help them. So, you know, we'll always be honest with you guys. We won't just ever continue on, you know, with something that's not any value to you, essentially. So please, you know, don't fear for reaching out because you think we're going to sign you up to £1,000 service a month. It just doesn't work like that.
Some hard upsell, yeah.
Oh, Lee says signed up yesterday. Looking forward to it. Welcome aboard, Lee.
Oh, Lee, yeah. I spoke to him on the phone. Nice guy.
Yeah. So
fellow
yeah.
TikToker.
Yeah. Oh, really? Cool. Look forward to working with you, Lee. Really great. So yeah, drop one of us a message and we will get back to you. But I will say at certain times of the year, it is a wait list as well. So it is quite a select service. So
yeah,
don't think it's you if we say, sorry, there's a wait list at the moment. It's
might be better off messaging me as well, because Nat gets hundreds of messages because she's so famous.
So famous. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that yeah, Hayden's way more efficient than I am on this. So. Okay, just message Hayden, guys. Just message Hayden.
Yeah.
Let's just go with that one for sure. I'll start babbling on about something. So thanks for that, Hayden. I really appreciate your time. I really do think that was a genuinely valuable session for people. So whoever's in the hive, I'm going to see you later. Huge session in the hive tonight. We're going to talk about all the bundles. We didn't even get around to the bundle stuff.
Yeah, I've realised that, but it's
I know. We're already at an hour and a half. So Hayden, yeah, maybe come back in Q4, and when we know a bit more on the bundle stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about bundles once we hear more. Yeah, that's a good idea, because we're both. Yeah. I'm in the trenches with bundles, so it'd be good.
Yeah. Huge speak again. Huge session in the hive tonight. So if you are a member, tune in tonight. We're gonna just talk through it all. And if you're not a member and you want to be a member, then message me. So we're going to talk through all the bundle stuff and everything like that. Next week, I've got another guest on. We're going to be talking about wholesale stuff. So that's going to be an interesting one. So same time, 1 o'clock next week on Tuesday. I've got a guest. I don't want to say their name because I forgot to confirm it before I came on. So just in case they've forgotten and can't do it. So I think it's actually 2 guests that are going to be coming on at the same time. And tomorrow night, Mark, 9-figure Amazon seller, is going to come on and give his thoughts about all of the bundle stuff. So if you know who Mark is and you've heard him speak before, it is an unmissable session. I mean, I actually put this in the description. How often do you get the chance to, one, listen to a 9-figure seller talking about stuff, but also get the opportunity to ask questions, to that 9-figure seller? So yes, we're going to be talking about all the updates and things like that, but anyone knows when Mark talks, everyone listens, even me.
Yeah, he was sending me videos yesterday of his new warehouse, which he thinks he'll be moving out of in 18 months because it'll be too small for them, which is I think it's an ex-Amazon fulfillment center, so it's huge.
Yeah, it's like an airplane hangar, right? Well, it's probably bigger than an airplane hangar.
Yeah, a few airplanes in there probably, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Sylvia says, where do I find the link for tonight? It's just in the Hive Facebook group, Sylvia. So that's what we'll be talking through tonight. So we'd like this, we just go live in the Hive in there. So you should just be able to catch it. If not, I just set up the event. It's in the pin section. So just go in there and it'll pop up on there. Brianna says, can't wait for Mark's session tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. So that's live tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So that's a Brucey bonus, guys. So don't say we don't love you. Do you know what? I'm again, beep. I really genuinely don't think there's any community out there that gives as much value for free as we do.
Definitely.
In terms of what we give out for free. I mean, I personally think we're the best paid value community as well. But while we're here and we're talking about that, we do give a lot of free value, guys, out. And I hope you do, because we enjoy it and we want you guys to be as successful as possible. So hopefully you will agree. So tomorrow at 7 o'clock, but back as normal as well next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. But otherwise, thanks, Hayden. Enjoy the rest of Q4. Definitely come back, update us. Yeah, I'm gutted. We didn't get a chance to talk about Q4. We didn't get a chance to talk about bundles. But otherwise, it's all going well.
Yeah. I thought anyway. We'll do it after. We'll do it in December.
We will. We'll do it in December when hopefully everything's died down for sure. So have a great week, guys. I'll see you in the Hive tonight if you are a member. If not, I'll see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Take care.
See you all. Bye.
Bye.